Here it is. We are live. Hello. And welcome to Parklife with my guest. Tell him who you are, Tom.
My name's Tom Sinnet, and yeah, I'm a bass player.
He is a bass player. And more importantly, I met this young man in a wonderful holiday park that we can't say the name of, but it was Bognor Regis and they all wore red jackets.
Seriously, you can't say the name.
But well, you could say it was obviously Butlins, weren't it? I just don't want to give them any free advertising. No, I do. If you want to buy advertising space, guys, get on this.
Yeah, jump in now.
Jump on board. So, Tom, it's been a while since we've caught up. I think the last time we saw each other was
Glastonbury?
randomly It was Glastonbury.
Like till 2017, I want
It
to
would.
say.
It was
Yeah,
like really randomly at one point. Like I was just looking at sausages and you walked past.
yeah. So
Just,
weird.
is that Tom?
Yeah,
Is that Adam looking at sausages?
I was just like, Ad, what? I mean, there's like 200,000 people there, so chances are you are gonna possibly bump into someone you know.
Exactly.
But it's always a bit of a shock when you do as well. You know.
It is. And that's the joy of Glastonbury. The people you bump into are never the people you expect to go to Glastonbury.
Yeah,
It's always sort of like, that'd be next door neighbour.
yeah. It
That guy
is
cuts my
weird, isn't it?
feet.
Madness.
So, they were there that year, actually, Madness.
Were they?
I believe so. I
Oh.
remember seeing Madness at Glastonbury.
You know, the last time I saw Madness was end of 2018, and I actually played with my old band at the Madness Weekender in Minehead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Did that feel odd going back to Minehead?
it was weird because I did. So I was down in Bognor in. I did my first stint in 2009, and the
Yeah.
second stint in 2012. So I did 9 months in 2009, while I was sort of taking a year out from uni, and then went back, and yeah, did that, and then with this band that I was touring with, who are called Tankers the Henge,
Yeah.
I actually finally got to go to Skeg and
Oh, wow.
Minehead with them to play two different shows. Yeah. So I think the one in Skeg was the Great British Folk Festival, I want to say, or something like that.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then we did the Madness Weekender in Minehead as well, which was chaos. Yeah, it was really, really fun.
I bet it was. There's something about that Madness Weekender in my head. I've never been, but the stories I've heard and like the lineup is
It's
insane.
great, man, and like the other stages. So like we played on the main stage in the Skyline,
Yeah.
um, like sort of late afternoon, early evening sort of thing. But after that, we all just stayed around to watch Madness. Got wrecked because we had beers on the riders and all that sort of stuff. You know, free food, free accommodation, all
Oh,
that sort of stuff. And then after we'd watched them, we went up to, I don't know whether it's Stage Reds there. I can't remember the Ups one.
oh, they built it the wrong way round. So I think their top is
Yeah,
red.
I always get them confused. But anyway, they're big venue. We went up
Yeah.
there and we saw who was it? Chainscar Brassica.
Wow.
Who are absolutely amazing. Yeah, and they were on at like, you know, maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then there was someone else after that as well, like some really old artist. I can't remember who it was exactly. Not like Mott the Hoople, but you know,
Yeah.
someone like that. And it was just, yeah, it was really good. You know, the quality of the programming for that weekend is really high.
It's just stunning. I think that's the thing with those old ska bands as well. Like they really do practice,
Yeah, yeah, it
and
was
like they
great.
really do work their asses off, and that's why they're still going. I think I remember watching Bad Manners like 4 years ago and just being blown away. But then
They
again,
used
I
to come
remember
down. They used to come down to Bognor all the time, didn't they?
they did. And I never appreciated Bad Manners because anyone who's worked with Buster Bloodvessel knows that he's a bloody nightmare.
Well,
Like
I just
5 minutes
remember
ago.
I have really strong memories of you like having to be the stage manager
Yeah.
when they were down, and you would just be in stress mode for the whole afternoon and evening. You'd just be like, oh god, like they're coming. You know,
Well, it was just like
they
one
just
thing,
wouldn't
like
do what you asked them to do. Like,
they wouldn't do anything. Like all I wanted to do was get them on stage and play. It's like I
Yeah.
weren't asking for. I was even letting them smoke backstage at one point, just to like be nice. The bongo player, like for some reason, had split his bongos at one point, and he came on stage beforehand, 5 minutes before the show was meant to start. Bearing in mind, this was 2.5 hours late. This show was like, I've broken my bongos. I need to go back and get some more. It's like, where do you live? Portsmouth. It's like, no.
what? That's an hour each way.
Well,
at
yeah.
least.
So he just gaffered them up.
It wouldn't be the first time I've seen that done to bongos, to be honest.
And it might be the
They don't
last.
sound dramatically different, to be fair.
I don't think you could hear the bongos at that point. Like, if you're
Probably
listening
not.
to Scar, why are you trying to pick out bongos?
No one's really interested in the bongos anyway.
No,
Do they-
no one likes
did they-
bongos.
Did they have them put through the monitors?
I think, wow, this gig, it was either that or the selector, who were equally as bad. The keyboard player was so high, he kept pressing the demo button on the keyboard. So every now and then they'd go into a hit, and then you'd hear Mary had a little nap, but just come over the monitor.
Amazing. Do you know what? I never got to see them.
Oh man, you were missing out.
Yeah, I hear it was good fun. But
It's
they
great
used
now.
They used to be on downstairs a lot of the time in Reds.
Yeah.
So and we'd be doing stuff upstairs back in whoever, you know. So
Oh man. Well, that's the thing. So many good memories with it. Which leads me to some questions, Tom.
all right.
What is your best moment of working in the British Holiday Park in the house band?
I think the funniest for me was we were doing a show, like one of the in-house shows once, and I think what was the one where we were on like a huge riser, like maybe 8 foot, 10 foot high, and they had the tube train. I can't remember what it was called.
Sound of the Underground.
That was it. Yeah.
That was
So-
it.
We were doing that, and obviously everything is synced. So you've got like the video on either side of the stage and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
you've also got the music, like the sort of backing tracks with like sound effects and all that sort of stuff. It's all synced up, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but there was an apocalyptic failure of the track. And like I was absolutely howling because the musical director, just the look of fear on his face when he realized what was going on, you know. And like, you know, we're pretty well trained musicians, you know,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Tony and Dave, the guitarist and drummer
Yeah.
at the time, they were spectacular. Like David studied in like LA and
Oh,
stuff
wow.
like that. You know, he went to the Musicians Institute or MIT or whatever the big place in LA is called. And Tony was like this, you know, ridiculous guitarist. And yeah, I just remember laughing my head off and being like, this is hilariously silly, because suddenly all the extras that would be in the music was just pared down to like 4 people. And of course, I'm just a bass player, right? So
Yeah.
I can only play one note at a time and do my job. Tony can do his guitar parts as per usual. Dave's playing drums. The MD on the keyboards then has to work out a way of not only doing his parts, but also doing like all the other stuff that would be on the backing track, including backing vocals sometimes, you know, and things like that. And he was just juggling all this stuff, and he just looked terrified, sweat pouring off him. It was so funny.
I think as well, to add to this, we need to paint the picture of the MD didn't just have 1 or 2 keyboards, he had about 8.
Hang
So-
on. No, it was It was 9.
Nine
It was a
keyboards.
square riser. 3 sides of it had 3 keyboards, and he had the vocoder.
Oh yeah, the vocoder.
Little thing on the corner as well that he'd sing when we did Radio Gaga, and he'd do that little like radio.
Radio.
Yeah. Oh man, I used to wet myself like.
I can tell you this now because we're miles away from it, but we used to deliberately put it up in the mix on the front of house when they played that.
That makes me really, really happy.
So, that was all you could hear. I think at one point they cut the rest of the band just so you could hear radio and then get back into it.
That's amazing.
It didn't sound good though. It sounded like it was from Tandy or something.
Yeah, it probably was. Like, he didn't have a keyboard, like, to my knowledge, of all those 9 keyboards and a vocoder that he had on that stage, right? I don't think any of them were less than, like, 15, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So it was all quite, like, dated-sounding MIDI type of things. It just used to make me laugh. And he was so loud.
Oh,
Like,
it was.
I remember, you remember Pickett, the monitor engineer, right? So he once, it might have been him or it might have been Mike, actually. One of them had a like decibel meter in the monitor booth down at the side of the stage, and he measured the volume level on stage because it was horrifically loud, and because the MD would turn himself up so loud, like he had his own PA system to just put his monitoring through. So I think he measured it, and it was like 130 something decibels at the side of the stage, which is like louder than a jumbo jet taking off.
95 is like the maximum.
Yeah. Oh, this was like way over that. Like, it was hilarious. Yeah. So.
With his keyboards as well, because they were on that riser and he never took them down. I remember having to clear them for, I think it was a Nickelodeon roadshow or something once, and it was me and Colin with this bit of rope where we tried to move it out of the way, and Colin slipped, and he just ended up like 4 keyboards falling off.
Oh my god.
It was tragic because like it was like, oh no, we've touched.
No. Oh man.
But just watching a band like surrounded in keyboards was beautiful. If only they were on at the time just to hear that. Boom. but sadly not.
Yeah,
sadly.
it was great. Do you remember once for a joke me and Tony we printed off a little A4 sign and stuck it on his keyboards with a bit of crappy clip art that just said, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
I do remember you did that.
Just taking the piss. It was amazing.
He was great though. I remember once we were sat backstage and he came back and he was telling us about the new Boys to Men album. And he said this line, which still makes me laugh from time to time, going, well, they started off as boys, but now they're men. Like, we're talking about Boys to Men.
That's generally how growing up goes anyway, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Somehow.
To be fair, Boys to Men are drilling. So
they are pretty good.
Yeah, they're sick. He was a character, man. Like, yeah, he was a real character.
I hear him come up quite a lot in conversation of recent with certain people on the circuit who mention him quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, not like so he's still out there. What a legend! Do you know what? It's people like that that make the experience worthwhile.
I mean, he was an absolute workaholic.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, for sure. And he was always doing stuff, even when he wasn't in work. You know, with us doing the shows in the evening, he'd always be doing stuff in his studio during the day, like MD and stuff. I mean, that's how I met him in the first place. You know, that was how I got the job.
Oh.
So, I was a student in uni in Birmingham doing my degree, and I got offered a job doing panto as a dep for a mate of mine who was also on my course. He'd been offered it, and it was like 7 weeks of panto, and he was the MD for it. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it, fine. And we met, and that was it as far as I was concerned. Anyway, so I got to the end of that year of uni, decided to take a year out. Went back to West Wales for from like summer until Christmas, and and I get this. I was actually working another panto the following year then, and I get a call off him on my birthday. I remember. So my birthday is 29th of December, right? And
if you are listening, people, just so you can send them stuff.
Presents gratefully received. Like, and I got this call, and he was like, "Our bass player has just left. We need someone to do the next year or whatever, or like at least we need someone for a part of it." So he was like, "Would you be up for doing it?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got nothing better to do. I'm just in West Wales working in a pub and practicing 8 hours a day when I'm not working, you know." So 2 weeks later I was in Bognor. And or 3 weeks later or whatever, and it was like, panic on. I was like, where the hell do I live, or any of that? And actually, and then he was like, oh no, you don't have to worry about that. We've got accommodation on site and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this sounds like a pretty cushy deal. And he was like, I remember him saying to me, because you're self-employed, not PAYE. All the musicians are self-employed, all 4 of us. He was like, "Oh yeah, you can have a cooker in your accommodation," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, mate." Like I thought that was a fairly standard thing that most people had where they lived. I found out when I got down there that that's not necessarily the case.
No, not at all. It was you and the mighty Jambo who were allowed a cooker.
Yeah, me and Puppet Steve.
You and Puppet Steve were allowed that cooker.
In our little flat with our washing machine and our cooker.
Mate, we used to look at your cooker and think, I've never been so jealous of a cooker in my life. We had this crappy George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
And then we were constantly told, well, you can eat at the Team Diner. But for some reason, the Team Diner opened at lunch and dinner, which was when everyone was working. Mm-hmm. Because that's when entertainment is. Yeah.
So, do you remember it must have been Christmas 2012.
Yeah.
Do you remember you guys working on Christmas Day? And I cooked you all a Christmas dinner because I had the day off. Well, funnily enough, I was looking back through some photos recently, and I found some photos of that afternoon, and you look a bit bedraggled because you'd come from doing something and you were like sitting down, getting your food and all that sort of stuff, and then legging it to somewhere else to stage manage some other part of the event. I was just like, crazy.
Oh, that was a great time, and that's the joy of jobs like that, when you look back and you see a cooker as a luxury. Those are the jobs you need.
Luxury.
A big luxury. You and the mighty Jambo.
They were underneath us, right?
They were.
Yeah, they were great.
They were absolute lads.
They had some serious skills as well.
They did.
Yeah.
I remember them balancing, I think it was 7 chairs, like upright, and one of them was jumping like off the top of it once. And I thought, they're actually dining table chairs. They're not like specialist chairs.
They're just standard chairs.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, going, oh, whose problem is this if there's an accident? And then I realised it was me.
Yeah.
So they no longer use those chairs and had special ones.
My question is, who did the risk assessment in the first place? Because surely that wouldn't pass. Like,
wow. They just kind of turned up and did it. That's the thing. Like, every
it's like four of them on a little BMX balancing on each other's shoulders, going round in circles.
It was exactly like that. Oh, that show. They had this fire one once where they used to limbo under a fire pole, And
never saw that.
did you not?
Nah.
They got too cheap to buy a different fire blanket every time, so I had to keep reusing the fire blanket. But a bit of paraffin from like the previous show got on it, so I put it out
And it
on the stage, and then it just set light to the top of the stage once they're dancing. They're all laughing because they think it's funny that like Adam's running around like with a fire extinguisher. But yeah,
amazing.
memories.
Yeah, man. I got some cracking memories from my time down there of just all sorts of different things. Like a lot of people related things.
Yeah,
Like I remember Mike and Colin, and I think you,
yeah.
taking me after we'd knocked off work one night. So it must have been about 1 o'clock. We all got into some cars and went to Mick's Monster Burger Van
Oh,
on
mate,
Portsdown Hill
what a place!
in Portsmouth, and like sat out looking over the city at like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And they were like, the rule is you have to have the Gutbuster burger the first time you go there. Well, that thing's 4 quarter pounders and God knows what else all in one burger, and I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, but yeah, it's like little things like that you just do on a whim with the people that you worked with and hung out with, because you all lived in such close proximity
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Like hanging out with like all the dancers and singers and stuff like that was really fun. It was cool, man.
It was
It's a good
such a great
experience.
time. Yeah, and you learn so much as well. Like I look back now and go, what I learned in the time there of just stood by the side of the stage or having stage time or even like people like comedians taking me aside and going, try this, do this.
Just
It's
being
like,
able to pick the brains of people
oh yeah,
that were doing what you sort of wanted to do, and yeah, had a bit more experience. It's really cool. It's great.
yeah. And that's the thing though, isn't it? What job can you just like pick someone's brain and go, how do I make a career out of this? I mean,
Man,
no one ever mentioned COVID, but
yeah,
other than that, it was fine.
it's mad. Like I was thinking back to this recently. So I was probably 21, 22 when I first went down there,
Yeah.
and all my job was to play bass. 5 to 6 nights a week. That was it. How many jobs like that are there in the UK? Like,
None.
for a young musician to sort of get the experience of sight reading new music pretty much every night, and having to do it to a professional level and just, you just go. It's like, that doesn't happen. There's not many places like that now.
It's sad when you think about it, like, because like similarly, when I went onto the comedy circuit, and it was around the same. It would have been that year you made the Christmas dinner that I decided to make. It wasn't your Christmas dinner that inspired me, but I remember that year being quite
I
a big year.
I remember you talking to me and saying, like, I think I need to make a go of comedy now. Like,
Yeah,
I really feel like I'm in a place to sort of start springboarding forward.
exactly. And I remember we had quite a deep conversation due to whiskey.
Always due to whiskey, mate.
Always due to whiskey. Okay.
or due to, like, Scotch eggs on a midnight walk to Tesco.
Your Scotch egg cooking was one of the greatest things ever, and I've never been able to replicate it ever.
It's because boys got skills, mate.
Boys got skills with those eggs.
Yeah, anyway, tell me about your decision.
So my decision, I remember us sitting there, and I was literally like, I need to make a go of this now, or I never will. And I remember you saying something similar, going, do you know what? I need to have a go on this as well.
I remember, like, saying, I remember that conversation, and I remember us both saying it would be so easy
Yeah,
for us to just stay where we were and be stable and have, like, a cushy living,
yeah,
basically. But I felt like I had aspirations to do other things as a musician with, like, original music and stuff like that, and you wanted to create your original sort of comedy things, and
yeah,
you know, I think it was great that we both went there and we got those experiences for the time that we did. But I think it was a good thing that we decided to leave when we did.
exactly. I think so. I think you learn so much, and it's a shame to keep learning and not progress and take that somewhere with you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think in life,
Yeah.
which leads us to another question as well.
All right.
What was the best act you ever saw on stage? And you know what's coming after this?
The okay. Best act I ever saw on stage there. Oh man, there was loads that I really enjoyed. Like apart from the fact that they were real quality musicians.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was probably the tribute band with the best name that I've ever come across? Earth, Wind for Hire.
Yes, I remember Earth, Wind for Hire.
They were great. Like they were really good.
I'll tell you something amazing about Earth, Wind for Hire. They were doing a Stevie Wonder song, and he was walking on stage, and these two girls were like obviously helping him to the front of the stage, pretending he's blind and everything, set him up, and he'd realised he'd got his microphone, so then he had to run back and get it.
Was that?
Completely ruined the illusion.
I think I was playing bass on that
I think
gig.
you were.
Because I remember laughing my head off. Like I spent so much time laughing
Oh, same.
when I was working in those venues. It was great.
Yeah.
And like all the crew guys like you lot were really good as well. Yeah, in terms of like best artist or whatever that I got to play with, like I was saying to you before we started, probably the most enjoyable one for me was Bucks Fizz. Which sounds mental to say that, but it was like really, really hard.
Yeah.
And a real like musical mountain to climb on 1 hour's rehearsal. And I loved that. It was a really good challenge. And
Well, that's it. And the payoff as well.
They weren't bad. Like,
I really like Bucks Fizz.
Yeah.
They had some
Yeah.
tunes.
Yeah. The one that I really wanted to see, which I couldn't, because sometimes when they had like bigger name acts, they wouldn't let you into centre stage or whatever. The one that I really wanted to go and see was an old band from the 80s called Go West.
Oh man, Go West are one of the greatest bands ever. Like,
Mate, I am still gutted that I didn't get to see them. Although we'd played the set before them, and I literally nearly steamrolled the singer as I was coming out of the venue. Like, I had my guitar on my back and everything, going down the fire escape. And he was coming up, and I pushed the fire door open, and he was just there. Like, yeah.
Oh man, they're doing the Royal Albert Hall next year with Cutting Crew.
Are they?
Yeah, if you're up for it.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'd be well up for that. I mean, is anyone definitely doing anything next year?
Wow. I reckon you could say whatever gigs you. I'm headlining the O2 next year.
I'm gonna watch Prince next year, man.
Wow. I'm going to watch Queen.
Madness.
Oh,
Yeah.
them as well.
Yeah. They were great. Enjoyed them.
They were great. But which leads me on to what is the worst thing you ever saw on stage? Around this point, the bash usually comes up in the comment section.
I don't know. I have really good memories of the things that went wrong because I just found them really funny.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anyone where I was like, oh my god, you are terrible, sort of thing.
I don't think it's ever terrible. I think sometimes, like in those kind of industries, it's more like, how is this happening? I think Ray Lewis was the king of how is this happening for
Oh
me.
my god.
Like
That actually, do you know what? The Ray Lewis gigs were, for me, deeply traumatic. Like, horrifically traumatic. Because it's chaos. It's literal chaos. You get the music, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the MD saying to me beforehand, like, right, things are going to go off-piste. And I was like, okay, what? So anyway, we get through the set, and there was this section of a tune that he was singing, and he'd just start talking and doing his thing, and we were looping this chord progression round. And Steve was like, the MD shouted over, "Follow me." I was like, what's happening? And then Ray starts going off on all these different old like Motown and Stax songs and stuff like that, right? And I'm 21 years old. I've been doing a degree in like jazz music, and I've been playing metal and rock and stuff before that. I'd never really checked out Motown or soul or anything. Done a little bit of, function band stuff and all that. And he starts going off on these songs, but they're all in different keys and everything, and it's all like segued. And Steve is literally going, I don't know if you've ever seen musicians doing this, but like he's going like that, which is like 3 flats. So that's like E flat major, or like, like 2 sharps.
Yeah.
And all this for the keys of each one. And then I'm just having to use my ears to follow the chords that the rest of the band are playing. And like, I was just utterly traumatized the first time that happened. It was in my first week or two that I was down there. And I remember coming off stage and being like, oh my God, what the hell had happened? And Steve, like everyone else, all the other 3 guys in the band, they were like, oh yeah, he does that every time. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me?
It's going to go, what's the point of a rehearsal if he just does what he wants?
Well, we didn't even do a rehearsal. It was just walk out on stage. I got the music as I was walking out. Like, but Ray was great. He was lovely.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart. But
he always called me baby boy and like gave me a big hug, which I always found so weird because like
tell you what's really weird. Someone used to call me baby boy, one of the visiting acts as well.
Who was it?
Jackie Graham.
Jackie Graham used to call you baby boy.
Yeah. Because I was like 20, 25. I was 20 years younger than the rest of the band.
Yeah.
And she'd like come up and give me a hug and be like, "Hey, baby boy."
Oh,
like,
man. Maybe it's a Motown thing.
Those were the best weekends for me, like musically, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the music was so great, and it was really tough, really challenging, and that was the busiest weekend of the year for us as well. Like they'd use us for backing so many different acts. Like some of the other ones, like the 70s ones or whatever, you do like one set on a Friday and then have like the weekend off, and you'd just be out partying every night.
That was the dream. I think it was disco was like the worst one for me because there's only 10 disco songs, but there seems to be about 25 disco bands.
Yeah.
And it was just car wash again and again.
God, I haven't played that since I left.
Have you not?
No, I haven't played Don't Stop Believing since I left either. I'm just like, I used to love that song, but now I can't do it.
That used to be like an anthem for me. Like Journey Don't Stop Believing used to be like one of my favourite songs until Glee, and it was.
Do you remember that Glee show?
I do remember it. It was like being in the cast of Glee most of that year.
I really struggled with that one because it was like take a load of songs that are really good and then put a load of gratuitous key changes and stuff into them, and like they did on the TV show, exactly like they did on the TV show, which I also thought was pretty naff. So
it was, and also auto-tuned.
Yeah, so auto-tuned. We didn't have that luxury, did we?
We did not have that luxury. There's a few people that I think would have loved that luxury, but no.
I certainly think Colin on front of house would have loved to have a little like auto-tune machine there sometimes.
I remember once we had the Cheeky Girls on, and they gave us this backing CD, and it was just the Cheeky Girls album that they bought, and like make it like a little bit less blatantly obvious that you're miming.
Literally playing their CD.
Playing their CD.
Along with it. That's amazing.
He had a $12.99 sticker from WH Smith's on it as well, so it wasn't even a free copy. If you are a cheeky girl, at least embrace being a cheeky girl. Don't buy knockoffs from WH Smith.
God, we are the cheeky girls. Like their song, the big, they're embracing it.
They are embracing it.
but
But not in the real world, Tom. Not in the real world.
It's, that's what happens when you go out with Lembit Opik, mate.
That's it. Lembit's ruined it for everyone.
Oh, you're telling me, mate.
He was a cheeky boy.
He was. Did
Do you
the
ever-
dirty on the weather girl, didn't he?
He
With the
is,
cheeky girl.
How does he get all the girls? Lembit, what are you doing?
I don't know. I don't even think he's a particularly good-looking guy, in my opinion, but there we go.
Well, he's got something to some people.
Laughed him into bed.
Well, apparently he's a comedian now, so...
Is he actually?
Well, apparently so. He's joined our side of things.
He's gone over to the dark side from politics.
Exactly, that's what they do. They all come over to comedy eventually. Do you have any memories of Chico?
One.
Go on.
I found. Do you remember our dressing room that used to be closest to like the stage manager's bit?
Yeah.
We had that band room all the time. So I was in there one day and I found this. We were about to go on stage and I found this waistcoat with loads of like sparkly stuff on the back of it, and I was like prancing around the dressing room in it, being all cool. And the MD eventually took it off me and wore it himself. But it turns out that was Chico's. And he wore it, and then he was like, this actually belongs to Chico, I'll give it back to him next time I see him, because he was like MDing for him and stuff. But I never actually saw him.
Did you
I
not?
don't think. No. Bit of a character.
He was great fun, because like he did genuinely ask what the time was at one point, without an ounce of irony, and everyone was just like literally biting their lip. Like those type of people are like gods in that way. So like Chico, back then, Keith Kegwin, all those people are like, you might as well be Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And it was just that thing. Has Chico just asked what the time is, and nobody said Chico time? Like, has that just generally happened?
I don't understand how people. I don't understand how they could have resisted that.
I don't know.
I'd have just been like, it's Chico time! Yes!
Yes, he's done the thing!
Like, he's asked the question. Yeah!
His greatest thing was not Chico time, it was a song called CHICO, which was just TISTO.
Oh,
what
man.
tune?
That is amazing.
CHICO at the DISCO.
Tell you, like, I've just had a thought as well. One of the other best acts that I ever saw was, you remember the girl with the dog from Britain's Got Talent?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Go on.
Right. Do you remember being backstage? And like we were sort of chatting, and the dog was there, and she just went, "Go to the dressing room," and it went like it knew which dressing room it had to go to and everything. She just, go to the dressing room. Off it toddled all the way down, past three open doors, and then into the one that it had to go into. And I was like, "What is this?" They were really good.
They were really good. Do you remember when
we used to do that feature in Sound of the Underground, didn't we?
Yeah, when we just brought someone out from Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah. That's why they were there. Oh yeah.
But I remember once, and I was chatting to Nick Palmer about this the other day. He was backstage under like this staging, and there was two dogs. That was the trick, and he accidentally let both go at the same time. So I went through the act. It was like one jumping through the hoop, and we just sat there like.
Oh, there's two of them now.
Witchcraft. Yeah,
oh, that's amazing.
Apparently, one of those dogs was getting on quite a bit, so they had to train up another one to replace it.
I'm just remembering what was the Greek guy and his son that did the Irish dancing.
Oh, Stavros Flatley.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I remember doing Bogdan's Got Talent with Steve Arbottle with the Mash, and Stavros Flatley was a judge. And he said, "You have one of the greatest voices I've ever heard." And I've got it on DVD. And you know what? I look back and think, what else have you listened to that I am the greatest voice you've ever heard? In the whole world of music. Ever. This.
You, mate, you're better than Pavarotti.
I am. You know, like, even when you hear something, even I was going, "No, I'm not."
Yeah. Be realistic, son.
Be realistic. I'm average at best.
You've actually got a really good voice. Do you still sing?
Thank you. Pardon?
Do you still sing?
Yeah, I still sing. I'm working on a little Christmas song at the moment.
Christmas song?
Yeah. Called Christmas at Poundland. So, I was working on that yesterday. But yeah, I've done little bits. I haven't done much in ages. So,
yeah.
Actually, tell a lie, I'm doing a gig over Christmas on the 19th of December in Ramsgate, where I'm doing an hour of vocal set and an hour of comedy.
God, you're going to be a busy boy that night.
Yeah, that's it. Back
what
to
are you
the
going to do?
variety.
You're going to do like an hour of one and then an hour of the other, or are you going to sort of like make 2 hours of a mix of both?
I think I'm going to do 2 hours of a mix of both.
Yeah, man. I think
Bring
variety is the spice of life. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'll get a dog, it'll be fine.
Get two, mate.
Get two.
Magic one out of nowhere partway through the set.
Has he just got a Labrador? I sure have. Does he do any tricks? No.
It's just a dog at the side of the stage.
just looking longingly. Yeah. This is great.
Just tied up like, I can't go anywhere.
I can't move. Or just get one of those ones that you put the money in, like for the blinds, and just seal it up like the hole, and just have it there on the side. That could work. Just looking longingly.
I think that's the one you want to be doing. Really is. Where do you get those?
I think you've got to steal them, haven't you? Really?
eBay?
I wonder. I'll have a look into it.
Yeah, get in touch with the charity. They'll probably point you in the direction of some old spares that haven't been refurbed or whatever. An old crappy one from the 80s, like.
It's not the paint. Is that a Dalmatian? No, the paint's gone off it.
It was a retriever at one point. Now it's a Dalmatian.
Picturing it now, just stood there like on the side of a stage. Oh, mate. I'm up for it now. I want to do it.
You got it. You have to, mate.
I probably won't get booked again, but the way this year's got it, who knows?
No one's going to get booked this year anyway for anything, so just do it.
Just do it. Do you know what, guys? Just do it. I've got 2 more questions for you, Tom.
All right, bye.
Right. What was the best advice you ever got on a holiday park?
Best advice I ever got was this sounds really bad, but actually it's really true and it's not intended in a bad way. The guitarist said to me, "Get out as much as you can." And you know that's true.
No, I know that's true. Oh, so many crazy adventures. That day going to Brighton on the bus and it taking 7.5 hours via the coastal route.
Oh man, yeah.
No, it's true.
But like you get into that whole, like you could just be on the site. You can eat on site. You can drink on site. Like you can do everything on site. So I used to use the days off to go and go to Portsmouth, go to Brighton, go to Southampton, go to Bournemouth or whatever, and like that was really healthy, I think. I think a lot of you guys on the crew didn't really have the luxury because they worked you really hard.
Yeah, man, it was solid. Which is weird because
even when I was working like 6 nights a week, I would only be working from like 5 o'clock until maybe midnight, 3 sets at most. It was easy, I'd have the whole day free to go and do stuff.
Do you know what's weird about that? And I was thinking about this the other day, of like working so hard, but at that time wanting to do comedy so badly. even the 2 evenings I had free, that's all I was doing, like open mic spots and stuff. And you know, when you look back to that younger version of yourself and going, you would literally kill for an open 5 minute spot back then, and now it's like it just
You're-
takes you back, doesn't it? Of going,
You're a
it
professional
is
now,
everything.
you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it is. It's
It's
still
great.
everything.
It's great
Yeah.
that you can see that sort of progression as well, though. That's really cool.
Exactly. And back then I was absolutely shit.
No, you weren't. No,
Oh,
you
thank
weren't.
you.
You've always been a funny fucker.
Thank you very much, Tom. That's going on the posters. There we go. There we go. He's always been a funny fucker.
Please put that, like, you have my permission, mate.
I've had so many quotes. Do you remember Amethyst?
Yeah.
Danny from Amethyst, who's worked with like Darren Brown and stuff like
Yeah.
that, gave me the quote once, so good he made me wet. And I so wanted to use it at Edinburgh, but didn't. I just chickened out. But next year,
Just do it. Just hammer and tongs, mate. Everything you got, like, all in one.
exactly.
Yeah, your little guide dog on the side of the stage. So funny he made me wet. People are going to be like, what the hell is this going to be like?
Who's this guy?
Yeah. Like, he obviously has an effect on people.
Exactly. And now he's doing Strictly Come Dancing. Whoa.
Amazing.
That would never happen. I'm dyspraxic. But I've been kicked off jobs for dancing.
I remember you dancing in jacks, mate.
I do, unfortunately. So does the bouncers. Oh man.
Yeah,
My
they were
Tom.
sober.
Yeah.
They
So many
remembered
great-
everything that we did.
They do.
And they'd tell us about it afterwards.
Or take photos and email it to you so you sit down and check in a manager's meeting and there's just be a picture of you going, oh, I did do that.
Yeah.
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 Where were you at 2 a.m.? You knew where I was at 2 a.m.
You were throwing me out.
You were throwing me out at 2 a.m. Oh man.
Yeah.
It is weird when you look back, but such great memories. So, I'm going to ask you the question I ask everyone on this podcast, all three of them.
Yes.
Let's make it a number 4.
Yeah.
I've got some belters coming up.
Have you?
Oh, I've got Neil Ainsby, but
Have you?
yeah, I've got Neil Ainsby.
Amazing. He'll be great.
He'll be. Look, weirdly, and like before we bring Neil on, the man who neglected to tell anyone he used to play with Cliff Richard.
Yeah.
You know when you think like you
He's
just
a
have
real
that
interesting guy, man.
Yeah, really interesting. Like he's actually done like crazy stuff and
Yeah, and he's
never
really
mentioned
good.
it. Yeah.
Really good. Like, legit. Yeah.
But sod him right now. We're talking about you.
Ah, we're just talking.
We are just talking about the life. So, Tom, do you regret anything? And what is the best moment you've had as a performer? It could be anything.
Do I regret anything in life? Or
Not
just
in life. No.
I was gonna say, that's a big can of worms, mate. Christ.
No, just regret anything for your time there. And what is your biggest moment as a performer?
I don't really regret anything. No. No, I had a really good time.
Yeah.
You know, I think the worst regret I'd probably have from that time was selling my bass that I used. But that's about it, really. Like I really enjoyed it. You know, it was hard at times. It was frustrating at times, and you know, you have the ups and downs like you do in any job.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't regret going down there for a second. You know, it paid for this sleevey thing and stuff like that. You know, I enjoyed it, man.
That's
Had a
it,
blast.
man.
And what was the other question?
Do you regret anything? And what is your greatest moment as a performer in anything you've done?
In anything I've done at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gone in easy with these. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Man, I've had some great experiences playing music. You know, lots of festivals all over Europe and stuff like that. I mean, Glastonbury that year when I bumped into you, that was one we played at Avalon Cafe.
That's amazing.
And there was about 900 people or so, they reckon, that were there watching us. I mean, I've played Isle of Wight Festival.
Oh yeah,
with
of course you
King
played the
Meets
Isle of
Queen.
Wight Festival. Yeah,
I've done that a few times, like with Tankus as well. But like, yeah, the first time I played Isle of Wight Festival with King Meets Queen, which was Viva Productions jobby.
Yeah.
And that was insane. That was like 5,000 people singing
Oh,
along
man.
to the moment when we started playing, you know, the do 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 bit in
Dun,
Bohemian
dun.
Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And like, I remember looking up and just seeing like, yeah, probably 5,000 people just all going boof, boof, boof. And beer, like, you know, beer glasses going everywhere, and like, it was amazing. Yeah.
Oh man.
Had some cool times playing bass over the years.
And there's so much more to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the legend that is Mr. Tom Sinnet.
Thanks for having me, man.
They're clapping on the other side of the computers. We've not got the sound effect. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed Parklife. We will be back next month with another episode. And one more time, give it up for Mr. Tom Sinnet. And we will see you all next time. Big love, guys, and look after yourself. We're still live.
Shall I just pull a funny face or something?
You can pull some faces. Okay, we can remember those girly times.
How do we get out of this, Adam?
There is no way out of it.
Are we stuck in an infinite loop of talking now?
This loop of talking. Just constantly. I'll find some more questions.
Right. Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything you want to talk about at all? Bring up.
Oh, well, I've been having a few problems recently, mate.
Kane, where are you? There's a Welshman asking me questions.
Can I just press the leave button, or what do we do now?
Oh, I've just made me bigger.
She cried.
Hey, memories. Thank you very much, you beautiful people. Same time next month.
Or not.
You will let us out, dude. Just don't go, Tom.
I'm sorry, I'm just rolling over laughing.
Just roll it over the thing, so just
That's amazing.
stop continuously on this link.
Amazing.
I wonder how it's doing actually, link-wise. But yeah,
So
no, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been nice to catch up, man. We should do it. Should do it more often. Maybe in real life once all this crap finishes.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. We'll catch up. Like, I'll come to you, or we can go to the Big Smoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, that's like last time we met up in London. I'd had my teeth knocked out, which was always fun.
You had.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Tim Wood, you're still here. We are, Tim. We are still here, mate.
Wait, see this like Bake Off extra slice? You're getting a little bit extra.
All the slices in one go.
All the slices. So many slices.
Parklife.
Park slice. Oh man, I like the name. I might do a sitcom about these experiences one day. I've
really
always
think
wanted to
you
write
should.
something.
You should.
I think it could definitely work.
Was it you that I was talking to years ago when we were at Butlins about the sitcom of like, you know, superheroes and fictional characters but in real world situations?
Exactly.
So like Gandalf as a lollipop man walking out into the middle of the zebra crossing and going, "You shall not pass." People in their cars just on their way to work just being like, "What are you doing, you oddball?"
Well, I think now it could work, couldn't it? Because they're going to have to go into an environment that they're not used to and get a normal job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Government's not going to
Edward
pay them.
Scissorhands as a barber. Just legit as a barber. Going anywhere nice on your holidays?
What was the other one that was really weird on that? Wolverine trying to sell gloves. Try them off.
You're eating into our profits again, mate.
But why did you take this job, Wolverine, in the first place? Spider-Man is a fisherman, I think, was one as well.
Yeah.
Not funny, but practical.
Yeah. I just imagine Wolverine being like, I just wanted to be a hand model and this was as close as I could get.
Just constantly. Oh man, I'm trying to. Or the other one like, was to do a sitcom called Happily Ever After,
Right.
which
I
was
don't
going
remember
to.
that one.
Do you know? It was the idea that a princess and like a prince, but they just having a divorce and life being really crap.
So they'd like gone off, fallen in love, got married, end of happy ever after, and then cut to like what 10 years later or whatever, and they're like acrimonious divorce, and
Exactly
he's
that.
gone off with a younger princess, and
They've got to divide everything up in the house.
yeah, like who gets that crown's worth 200,000.
It's not yours. That was me mum. She
We're
hated you.
we're gonna have to auction it.
I think that would be brilliant.
I think you are onto a good thing there. That's a really good idea.
No one watching this steal the idea. It could be called Happily Ever After with like a question mark at the end.
Yeah, that works, man.
I like it. I'll sell it to HBO.
They'll probably pay a fortune for it.
Yeah, I've not got a script or anything, but who needs a script when you've got dreams?
You just need an idea, mate. That's all.
I had an agent once who told me, who needs equity when you've got a dream? And that's just the level, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Who needs
Did you let him represent you?
Yeah, he did for 3 years.
You absolute mug.
He was all right, actually. He was dodgy. I'll give it that, but
No shit.
he got gigs.
Well, that's the most important thing.
Well, those are the best ones. And if anyone is watching this, go with a slightly dodgier agent because you'll tend to get more work out of them because they probably don't pay taxes.
Genius.
Genius. That's not what you got to do.
See, that is why you come to this broadcast thing, isn't it? It's the life advice.
There's people going away, hopefully young comedians going, do you know what, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to pick the dodgiest agent that I can.
Is that still a thing, though, dodgy agent?
I've never had an agent in my life, mate. You're asking the wrong person, yeah.
I suppose it's different on that side of it. Have you ever had management? You must have had.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they go in the same category as dodgy agents, I think.
Was it the same bloke?
Wouldn't surprise me, mate.
I had a dream once that Steve Arbottle was my manager, and it really freaked me out for weeks on end.
Yeah, I would be freaked out if he was my manager too.
Right, I love Steve, but he'd be terrible at that job.
Yeah. I don't think he'd be. I don't think it's particularly suited to his skill set.
No, I don't think it is suited to his skill sets at all.
He's got a lovely guitar that he won in a competition recently. Though it's good to see that he's still playing.
Yes, he started a new band.
Oh, sick! No MASH reunion on the cards, then?
Well, there might be a MASH reunion on the cards. It's all down to when we can rehearse, but when did that ever stop us?
Yeah, literally never.
Do you know what? I look back
You
at
lived
those days,
together and you didn't really rehearse.
and that is the level of laziness I want to get back to in my career. Of living with someone that you're in the band with and still not rehearsing until you're on stage.
Yeah. It's great. I used to love watching you guys, though. It was wicked fun.
I remember doing a gig with you once, and it was an open mic night. It was Neil Ainsby, and you just played Perth by Bon Iver on the guitar. And it was one of the greatest things I think of. It was just breathtaking. You were playing it, and the whole pub went from pumped to just watching what you were doing.
I don't remember doing that.
Do you not?
Nope.
I remember it just being like, ooh, it was like pump, pump, pump. Because like, if anyone who's seen this has seen the MASH, it's just pure nonsense. But that's our brand.
No, it was fun, man.
But it was fun. Yeah, it's fun. But it was just that thing that you come on and it was just, it went from like, I think we finished with a cover of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And
Yeah.
then you came on and you played Perth by Bon Iver, and the whole room just went, oh.
Yeah, I sort of do vaguely remember it now you're talking about it. It was in one of the pubs in Bognor, right?
Yeah. It was the Unicorn.
That's the one on the sort of junction by the seafront, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I remember. The place where Free Beer and Naked Women used to play.
Yeah.
Brilliant name for a band as
Brilliant
well.
name. Always had a massive poster outside when they played as well.
Yeah, so good. Tonight, Free Beer and Naked Women.
What a time.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's weird to look back.
Yeah.
Right, man.
Had some great times in Bognor, man.
Oh, we need to. Shall we have a reunion?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do it. Let's reform the Mash. Let's get you in. Let's do something massive.
We get Tony and Dave as well.
We'll get Tony and Dave. Let's put on a full stage production of something.
In a pub in
In a
Bognor
pub.
when all this COVID stuff is over.
Preferably a really small pub where it doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's the only option. Like,
Oh,
if you're going
man.
to do a sweaty little gig, it's got to be somewhere that no one can fit.
Exactly. I don't want to do a gig in like a big venue,
Nah.
which is lucky the way my career is going. So there we are. It's hit and miss.
That's
I
the
like
nature
small
of,
intimate venues.
it's the nature of the arts, mate.
It's the nature of the art.
It's hit and miss.
I'm doing the Louis Armstrong in Dover Thursday, and I love it because it's my favourite. Like, there's 3 venues in particular that are like my venues where I started, but it's just weird to go back and be like, this is where I started,
Yeah.
and now I'm coming back
Yeah.
again
And again.
and again. Like the heart strung. Like I think we worked out I did 46 shows over a 4-year period.
Bloody hell. That's
Yeah.
a residency, mate.
That is
you've
a
cracked
residency.
it. You're at the top now, mate. You've got a residency.
That is it. Oh
It's
man!
amazing.
And
I'm
even
so
when
proud of you.
Thank you, man. And I'm proud of you too. Like that's what we need to do. Let's just form our own holiday park.
I have not got that sort of money, mate.
No, don't worry about that. I'll get my agent on the phone. It's sorted right out.
All right, I'm game.
I'm up for it too.
All right, we need to pick a place.
Where's the best place to put a holiday park?
West Country, surely.
West Country.
Everyone loves the West Country, right?
We'll do it. West Country. We'll
Or
put one
Pembroke.
in.
I'll volunteer my home county of Pembrokeshire.
Cool. I'll take that. And
Bluestone a run for their money.
oh mate, we'll take off Bluestone.
Yeah.
More
Easy.
like Poo-stone after we're finished with them. Boom! There we go. I'm trying to. We need a show. We need like an idea for a show that we can open the holiday park with. Got it. Radio Gaga. The songs of Radiohead and Lady Gaga.
That's amazing.
All this time and whoa. That's it. That's where the money is.
I'm surprised no one's done anything like that. Because, you had that King Meets Queen show that we did that was like a mashup of Queen and Elvis
Yeah.
and stuff. Why not, Radio Gaga?
Oh, I'm trying to think of other mashups you could do.
The Beagles? Mashup of the Beatles and the Eagles?
Ollie Murs. No, Ollie Mars. The songs of Ollie Murs and Bruno Mars.
Oh, there's got to be loads out there, surely.
We could get a whole season out of this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Katy Perry, the songs of Katy Perry and I forgot the name of the guy from Aerosmith.
No, it's not Stephen Tyler. Joe Perry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the songs of Katy Perry and Joe Perry. And it's just
Got a choice on this one, Ad?
yeah.
Bon Iver or Bon Jovi? 2 names, same music.
Could you imagine the disappointment of people coming to like Living on a Prayer? It's just like Bon over Jovi. Bon over Jovi. Jovi. Bon Bon.
Bon.
People just think it's a show about sweets, like a really big Candy Crush thing.
Every song, the singer has to do every song with like up to bonbons inside their cheeks.
Hot bon. Oh, I think on that lovely note, Tom, that's it.
Right. How do we close this down now?
We wave and say
Adios.
goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. He's waving. Is that how I'm working? What's going on? I've got really weird hands.
You do. You've always had really weird hands.
I have.
How long do we keep this up for?
I don't know. Oh, we'll leave the studio. That's what we got to do. We got to leave the studio, I believe.
Oh, the button down the bottom.
Right.
Cool.
So
Thanks for having me, mate.
I'll let you go first.
All right. Cheers, Ad.
Pleasure. And guys, it's been an absolute privilege. Thank you for tuning in to Parklife with our amazing guest, Mr. Tom Sinnet. Thank you so much. Keep the love going, and I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.